Nobody in that church ever once asked if I had the capacity for this life. As a mom of 5 kids with 3 adoptions, some of my kids have developmental disabilities and will live with me forever. And capacity was just not part of the conversation at all. This video is for any other mother who feels like you're just way in over your head. And the real title of this video, which I didn't want to completely put in the title because I'm scared, to be honest, of the vitriol. I don't want to admit this, but I had more kids than I should have. Based on my capacity, based on the fact that I have ADHD and had no idea, based on the fact that I was an only child. I babysat a lot, but I think it was a clue that teenage me didn't want children. And then I got in the perfect storm of a church environment that really pushed having a bunch of kids. I had no interest in the quiverful movement, but I didn't want to birth a bunch of kids. Like, I just didn't, that was not compelling to me at all. But I'm very justice oriented, and I totally bought into the idea that kids need homes and you should adopt, and the more the merrier, and big families are a blessing, and blah, blah, blah. But like, I was not asking myself, like, I certainly was not asking myself about my capacity, because I had this absolute belief that that I didn't want to waste my life. I'm sure that those of you who have been in Christian spaces are familiar with that idea. And I wanted to do the right thing, and I wanted to live a life that mattered. And I absolutely believed that this is what I was supposed to do. And I think what's interesting about it is I could go a lot of directions with this, but first, I guess I just want to say my children are amazing people. Like, I am so honored to be their mom, but I don't feel like I was the right person to have 5 kids. And so that doesn't mean I think I'm a terrible mom. I do think it means I shouldn't have had so many kids. I wasn't cut out for that. I still don't feel cut out for that. And that doesn't mean anything about them. It honestly doesn't. I don't regret them. I don't regret being their mom. Being their mom has taught me so much, and it's made me a better person. But I just don't feel like I was cut out for it. I don't feel like I was prepared. I don't feel like I understood, or like I said, I understood, oh, this is going to be really, really hard. And I thought that I was supposed to sign up for all the suffering, that I was just supposed to sign up for the hardest thing, because that's like how I was supposed to live out my faith. And so it was like, okay, I was like talking myself out of any concerns, right? Any part of me that was like, this is going to be really hard. What are you signing yourself up for, you know? And that just wasn't a part of the conversation. It wasn't a part of, like, women just weren't supported. Women were just expected to serve their hearts out. And I should have gotten a gold trophy for that, right? I mean, the things that I have had to parent through are terrifying. They're terrifying. I was not qualified. I figured out how to make it through. But all of that has a toll, you know, a huge toll. And then especially as I have ADHD, I didn't know it. I entered perimenopause early, but I didn't know it because like this information is just not out there. So my capacity started getting even smaller than it was before, and I was never good at homemaking tasks. I was never good at making a schedule for the kids and like being consistent, all those things that in my mind mean like, this is what it means to be a mother. And I had to let go of those things because there isn't one way to be a mother, but I absolutely believed that there was. And so I spent the first long while, at least a decade of my mothering, believing that I just needed to like shore up my weaknesses all the time, that I needed to get better at baking and at birthday parties. Actually, I just never really tried there. I think one thing that I am proud of us for is we knew, because we had so many kids, that we needed to have a sustainable model for birthdays. And that was a good move. And that was me, without knowing the word capacity, realizing that I only had capacity to do so much, and that I couldn't be the mom who volunteered for all the things, and I couldn't be the mom who has the cute like gift bags at the birthday party, you know. But I did feel a measure of guilt for that, and I still struggle with guilt because, you know, I can't be everything to my kids. And I don't think moms should have to be everything to their kids, but they deserve the world, and I cannot give them the world, actually. I mean, I literally did travel around the world with them and move them to a different country that feels safer for many of them. So I guess I did give them the world in some ways, but I don't have the executive functioning skills that I need, that I feel like I need for this many people. To just be consistent with things that you need to be consistent in as a mother. And so, yeah, so there's that piece of like executive function that really, really took a hit when my hormones started tanking early. You can look at this video I made recently about perimenopause and ADHD and how it happens earlier for women with ADHD, because that is what happened to me. And so my already struggling executive function, if you don't know what that is, it's like your ability to like organize things and keep a calendar and keep a schedule and remember tasks in order, and, you know, like grocery shopping takes a huge amount of executive function. I just started completely dreading grocery shopping around, you know, my mid-30s. So anyway, I mention all that because like I wasn't set up for success. I didn't know that I needed to set my own self up for success because I am like a high achieving person, and because I was, this story is so familiar, a young woman with ADHD who got good grades and like was really friendly and whatever. I just was, nobody caught it. Nobody caught it. And then apparently my estrogen was really helpful. for all of that. So I guess I just mention that because it's when the shit got real, like when the shit hit the fan for me was when perimenopause started early and I was completely unaware. It's like I ran out of the ability to keep holding everything together. And I think that's probably when I started to get really honest about the choices that we'd made. It reminds me of when, people have those like diet memes about like, grocery store me was really excited to make this healthy meal, and then like later me is like super sad. Super sad that I don't have junk food in the house. Like I was bought in. I was bought in to a system that told me that this is what my life should be. And I guess I just want to come back to what this looked like for me when earlier I was trying very hard to be the kind of person that I'm not as a mother. I just felt like bad at it all the time. Super bad. Like I wasn't organized. There's just this like gap between who I felt that I should be and who I was as a woman with ADHD. The gap was huge, and I just felt like I was failing all the time early in my motherhood. For the first decade, I just felt like I needed to just try harder. And at some point, I did realize, like, okay, instead of trying to shore up my weaknesses and like just trying so hard with meal plans and schedules and like all of those things that I just truly am not good at, I realized like, okay, I need to just like be myself as a mom. And that meant looking for things that I actually enjoyed, and then bringing my kids into it. So I do think I'm actually a good mom in my own right. I hold a lot of emotional space for my kids, and I think they all know they can like be themselves, which is not something that every child can say. We still have terrible dental hygiene. I still really struggle. I really struggle. And as I like look into the second half of my life, I'm 45, and I think about, parenting my kids who have developmental disabilities, like until I die, that's a lot to think about. And so back to choosing a life and choosing to enjoy my motherhood. It's part of why we moved abroad. It's so that I would be okay to be able to do this really hard job for a really long time till I die. And also, like, it began with just like traveling more and inviting my kids into experiences that made me feel like happy and alive and lit me up, like traveling around the world. When I started playing to my strengths a bit more as a mom, and then just like letting go of the fact that my house is just like not going to be clean unless I pay for really regular help. That I'm not going to be the chore chart mom as much as I want to be, as much as I need the help. Like I like organizing other people when I can't even organize myself. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I think that when I turned the corner to tending to myself so that I could tend to them better and like have emotional space for myself so that I could provide emotional support for my family, that was a really big turning point for me. Just becoming okay with the fact that I cannot do everything. I still struggle with guilt, as I mentioned. And I still feel like it was a perfect storm that I was in that made me have the choices that I have. And yet, like, I'm super proud of myself, I guess. Like, as I started thinking about this video, I just thought, oh, that younger me, like, she just needed somebody to be like, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to be everything to everybody. You don't have to be who you're not. You, my friend, don't have to be who you're not. You can mother in whatever kind of mothering way you are able to do. I guess that's what I gotta say today. I'm Andy. I am here to remind you to find the beauty in your life. If your life is very overwhelming and complicated like mine, all the more I encourage you to find things that are beautiful to you and give yourself a break. I'm talking to myself here. See you later, alligator. That's what one of my kids and I say every single night.